Hello everybody and welcome to your coverage of Moorpark College Athletics here on the Moorpark Raider live stream. My name is Ryan Ketchum, play-by-play commentator, joined alongside Nick Federico and Justin Borsis, your color commentator analyst this evening. We are currently here at Raider Sports Pavilion at Moorpark College, home of the Moorpark Raiders, where they're going to be playing host of the visiting Glendale Community College Vaqueros. This is going to be round 3 of the 3C2A Southern California Regional Playoffs. To be able to get here, the Moorpark Raiders were able to beat Cerritos Falcons last week by 30 points by a score of 86-56. And on the other side, Glendale Community College, they come into this game with a 71-55 victory over El Camino College, and this was actually their first Southern California Regional Playoff victory that they've had in school history. This is also their first season that they're the Western State Conference East champions, so a lot is going on in this game for both teams. What are you looking forward to, however? See out of Moorpark College coming out. This game is to see who's going to the state championship tournament, which will be hosted next week at Ventura College. So what are you looking to see out of the Moorpark offense coming out in this game?
Well, I'm looking to see them attack the rim automatically, Ryan. Last week we saw them against Cerritos. They did great ball movement. We saw Barbara Rangel, their star rebounder, who actually averages 14.6 points per game. You know, they're great attacking the rim. They're also, they do a great job of ultimately looking around and creating great ball movement, getting those three-point shots off. The shots were falling last week. They were aggressive. They were driving the lane. So I'm looking for them to attack, come out quick, and press. A lot of press on the defense.
Definitely, and the defensive side, Glendale Community College, they have a great offense. They are headlined by two-star players. What can you tell us about Glendale's offense coming out and how they'll match up against Moorpark?
Well, Cheyenne Jankulovsky is one of the star players. She's a two-way. She is one of their leading scorers. She also has 12 steals on the team, which is tied for first. So she is one of the two-way stars. The other can also offset, and they can be able to press and find a way to disrupt Moorpark, try to get some steals, stay up on bodies tonight, and drive them off the three-point line.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be fun to be able to get out there. We're actually going to be having the national anthem in just a few moments, but once again, this is the #1 seed in California, #1 seed in the Southern California Regional Playoffs, Moorpark Raiders, going up against Glendale. We'll be back in a few moments.
Good evening, welcome to Raider Pavilion, tonight's Southern California Regional Playoff game.
And that was the national anthem. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into the Moorpark Raider live stream. We will have your coverage of the #1 seed in Moorpark Raiders taking on the #9 seed Glendale Community College Vaqueros in just a few moments, only here on the Moorpark Raider live stream. Thank you.
Up and running.
Head coach Joe White.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Moorpark Raider live stream. Once again, we have your coverage of the third round of the 3C2A Southern California Regional Playoffs. We have the Moorpark Raiders, who are the #1 seed, the #1 team in California, coming into this game. They have a 29-1 overall record, and the 22-5 overall record. Glendale Community College Vaqueros coming in this one, 9 seed. We did mention slightly in the pregame show that this was the first conference title that Glendale has earned in their existence with the women's basketball program. Their first playoff victory ever, and just riding in that with that momentum, going up against the #1 team, it seems like Glendale has nothing to lose and they could just go out there. So how do you think that mindset is going to help them in tonight's game?
Well, they can play more fast and loose. They have less pressure, so it could help them be able to take care of business today without the added star power or crazy expectations that might come about in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And Moorpark, they have all the pressure on them. So how do you think they're going to be able to succeed? I mean, they have Barbara Rangel, they have Brianna Calhoun, they have Jasmine Crosco, some of the star players on that team. How do you think they could be able to handle that pressure and be able to come out here and secure a victory?
Well, Brianna is the facilitator. She's also the player of the year. Last week, Ryan, you and I covered last week's game. We saw that she had great court vision and was able to pass the ball pretty much anywhere she wanted to throughout corners and inside to Barbara when they tried to double team. So we'll see how that works today.
I know we're ready for the action. As you see, Jasmine Carrasco has the ball at the top of the key for the Moorpark Raiders here in the 3rd round of the Southern California Regional Playoffs. You mentioned Brianna Calhoun, floor general, out there taking the first shot of the game. No good on the 3-pointer.
Try not to force it.
That's one of the reasons why she's a great player. The hustle she showed and the great pass to Herring for the easy deuce.
That's what great players do. They're able to bounce back right there, miss a shot, able to rebound, and make an opportunity for a team come up with the first points of the game.
Good half-court pass, able to set up and try and get past that press.
The Vaqueros giving up the second least points a game, but Brianna Calhoun is there, gets the steal, the pass to Carrasco for another easy layup.
Calhoun, we talked about before the game, her vision is ridiculous. As we talk about her as an athlete, she's able to see the entire field, even when it looks like she's not seeing you, and that was a great assist right there.
She has 43 steals over conference play, so that's no surprise there.
Averages 4 a game.
At these first few minutes, Glendale just has to be accustomed to that strong Moorpark defense and be able to get those quality shots like they know they can.
They're playing zone early.
And just that zone pressure, it forces another steal by Calhoun, knocks it off a defender. It's Raiders ball.
Smart play right there, able to bounce it off because she knew she was going out of bounds to maintain possession.
And yes, that is a smart play whenever you have that situation. Obviously, you get that defender off guard. They're fronting Barbara Rangel right now, however, trying to get some pressure down low. They feed it to her, up with the easy layup. 6 straight points for the Raiders.
Barbara Rangel can get you like that 6'2", the Hawaii commit is so tall it's almost impossible to guard her, so they like to keep her right there near the paint.
That's also the perfect pass because they went over the top instead of right into the defender's chest.
And that's the danger of fronting a little bit, because if you have a player that get a good enough angle to be able to make a quality lob pass over the defender's hands, then you're going to be able to get easy basket after easy basket.
We mentioned that Glendale only shoots 59% from the line. Moorpark does not have a lot of depth, but they can afford to give up a couple of fouls today, given that statistic.
One thing that would be interesting to see, the last game that these teams played against each other, a 73-54 victory for the Raiders, as knocking down that easy jump shot number 14, Tess Oakley-Stilson.
Yeah, and sometimes when there's rematches, it's a lot harder for both teams because, you know, they've already seen each other's teams. They've played against each other. They have that insight. So it makes it that much harder when you get that rematch. And for Glendale, they definitely have some bad blood spewed.
A traveling violation there is going to be a turnover. 6-2 lead for the Raiders with 7:38 remaining in the first quarter of play.
Tess also is tied for first for Glendale in defensive steals as well with 12. So look for her to try to pick pockets today.
One reason why I mentioned that previous matchup was because Glendale lost to El Camino 62-58 in their previous game, and then beat them in the second round of the playoffs last week 71-55, a 16-point victory from a 4-point loss.
So things can change is what you're saying, Ryan.
Exactly, a jump shot, no good. Able to save it, but Carrasco has it. You'll see this quick, fast-paced offense with Calhoun and company. Gets it to Herring. Herring with the easy deuce once again. 4 points for Emily Herring.
Now, a lot has changed since that game as well, Ryan. During that game, Brianna Calhoun, one of the co-athletes of the year, only played 25 minutes. She averages over 32 minutes now, but back then, things were a lot different. So look for her to have a bigger impact tonight than she did that first game that they met each other.
Driving in, Barbara Rangel with the block, but she's called for a foul. A little bit of a late whistle, but go to the free throw line to shoot two.
The catalyst for that foul was that Brianna was late to rotate, which gave a lane to drive towards Barbara.
Exactly, a late rotation, good point. Also, with the movement of the arm down, they're going to call it more times than not, especially if you're the bigger person, if you're the defender. If you're the taller one, usually it's going to be a foul called on you. Right now, Tess Oakley-Stilson, the freshman, 5'6" guard, number 14 at the free throw line, knocks down her first. Has the only 3 points of the game for Glendale, as Glendale's down 8-3 with 6:46 remaining in the first quarter.
And this is going to be a telling statistic, 59%. If they get to the line a lot today, they're going to need to knock more of those free throws down.
And that's exactly what they need to do. I know, Justin, we were speaking about this in the last game against Cerritos, that Cerritos needed to go to the middle to try to get foul trouble on some of their centers. And that's exactly what Glendale's starting to do as Carrasco misses the three.
Nice hustle by Calhoun, able to track down the rebound.
And another great pass, getting it to Barbara Rangel for the easy layup.
When you're in the paint, that's exactly what you got to do. Find Rangel. She's your #1 option every time.
Good decision to back it out. You don't want to get too quick on offense.
They're giving up some open looks for Glendale. As driving in, able to find the short corner, dribbling around to the baseline, up for the layup, but no good.
Not the best shot, good offensive rebound. In a zone, what you want to do is called drive and kick, because they're going to clog the middle of the lane.
They get the steal. Calhoun going up with a fake pass to Carrasco, and she lays it in herself.
She faked the pass, and that's what led to that layup. She looked across and didn't pass, which made it easy for her to score right there.
And Calhoun did that a lot last week against Cerritos. Those quick drives, she's able to cut through those lanes and easy layups.
And one of the reasons why that's such a great play is she already has 4 assists in this game. She was able to hit Emily Herring twice and also get it to Barbara Rangel a couple of times. And when you have a player like that, that fake pass, that's actually going to get them. If you're not passing it, you can fake pass all you want. The defense is going to be smothered on you. But with the skill of Brianna Calhoun, she's able to be that floor general, so she's able to get those quick passes off. But when she's actually in there, she is maybe even just as good of a scorer as she is passing. So that fake pass, that's going to be key for her, and that just gets the defense off rhythm, especially when it's a 2-on-1 advantage.
And she leads this team with 6.6 assists a game, so that is one reason why her passing game has succeeded as well as it has.
As Glendale now has the ball, about 5:35 remaining in the first quarter of play. Going up for the left-handed layup, no good. Barbara Rangel proving strong down low so far at the start of the game.
Jasmine Carrasco with the ball here, the leading scorer from last week's game against Cerritos with 21 points. She is definitely a deadly shooter for this Moorpark Raiders team.
She averages 17.6 per game, so third leading scorer on the team.
Going up for the fast break layup, it's good. That's number 14, Tess Oakley-Stilson.
And that's what you have to do if you're Glendale. Start forcing turnovers. Try to speed up this Moorpark offense.
Exactly, and then from that point, what you can do is you can start to control the game tempo.
And one thing you'll see with forcing all these turnovers, that usually doesn't happen to Moorpark, but so far this season, Glendale has given up the second least points per game, which is 49.8 points per game this season, while Moorpark is averaging the second most points per game. So it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic between the strong Glendale defense and the strong Moorpark offense. And it seems like they're both battling pretty hard tonight. No good on the layup. They still get the rebound, but Carrasco with the steal. A little bit of sloppy play, but Calhoun is able to recover it. Goes up with a contested layup and knocks it down.
She looked for the contact and was still able to get the layup right there. Took the bump and was able to finish.
One thing you're seeing Glendale do is they're not scared to attack the paint. They've constantly gone at it again and again, and eventually something's going to click.
One thing Glendale needs to start doing is against a 2-3 defense, you want to have a high post and a short corner. You want to have cuts off of it, and if you hit the high post, then they go for a jump shot, and if the middle defender is up on them, then they get a nice, easy pass to the cutter from the short corner. That's just easy offense with that 2-3 as Moorpark is able to force the turnover.
And Ryan, we talked about this last week. Being stagnant against the zone does not lend itself to scoring opportunities. A lot of standing around, not a lot of rotation, not a lot of movement towards the paint early.
And that's one of the reasons why you need that flash to the high post and the flash on the short corner as Calhoun tries to get a backdoor cut. No good on the pass to Isabel Ayala, but as we were mentioning, if you have that flash to the high post, you have that flash to the short corner, when that middle defender comes up, then that's going to be wide open down low and you get an easy layup each time. They need to have those quick flashes and those quick cuts to be able to get easy offense.
Well, and head coach Joel
Good
Weiss
movement.
has to start capitalizing on these turnovers for his team here. Moorpark a little sloppy early.
Herring had that quick outlet pass, but no good by Calhoun on the layup. Easy mid-range J in transition, but they can't knock it down. Seems like there's a little bit of a lid on the rim.
It's a good shot selection, though.
Calhoun showing her vision once again as Ayala makes a nice move on the baseline and knocks down her first shot of the action.
And Glendale is having a hard time running with these Moorpark guards right now, not able to keep up with the speed and get back in time.
The athleticism for the Moorpark Raiders is something that I don't think Glendale's seen all year.
Good form right there on that shot.
A step back jumper, that was one of the players that we mentioned. Jankulovsky, Cheyenne Jankulovsky getting a little step back J inside where Barbara Rangel was at.
One of the leading scorers on this ball club.
Leading rebounder as well.
She averages 11.8 a game.
Ayala dribbling baseline. Barbara Rangel making a nice move, making sure no defenders come by, but Ayala no good on the floater. Left it short.
A little bit of frustration right there, and that'll happen sometimes when you don't things don't go your way. But ultimately, you got to stay composed, especially in a game like this.
Mia Moore coming in the game, number 15. Emily Herring's also back in, Isabella Ayala as well. But one of the reasons why I mentioned Mia Moore is that Barbara Rangel is out. So now Glendale has a little bit of a size advantage. They're able to take it away. 2.5 minutes to go in the first quarter of play. Tess Oakley-Stilson was the only player that scored for Glendale before Jankulovsky was able to knock it down.
And there's Jankulovsky again. Moorpark, to me, offensively right now, is a little too fast. We talk about transition, but you don't want to speed yourself up to the point where you're turning the ball over.
As Carrasco knocks down the deep three. I was watching her during pregame a little bit on her warm-up routine, and she was knocking down shot after shot after shot, and it seems like she brought that in the game, at least with that attempt.
And if you're Glendale, what you have to do is you have to capitalize on the fact that Mia Moore and Christine Sullivan, bench players, are in right now, because this is when you take advantage of some players that don't have as much experience as someone like Calhoun.
Emily Herring with the steal. She's taken off, goes up, but Jankulovsky with the block.
Good foul right there. You don't want to give up an easy layup in transition.
And exactly, every single coach, no matter that was a foul, every single coach is going to be in favor of Jankulovsky going up for the block.
Moorpark shoots 72.8%, which is third in the state from the line.
One thing that's great to see, I know we mentioned about playoff atmosphere, Glendale fans, they're covering most of their section. Moorpark fans covering most of their section as well. It seems like it's pretty loud in here from the most part of it, with these fans showing some emotion.
Well, and with where we are, we have a different position tonight from a broadcast booth. We are right behind the Moorpark cheering section in this case, so we hear the fans right behind us, and it is pretty much almost full in here.
With the magnitude of the game as well, I mean, the winner of this is going to go to the state playoffs, so it makes all the sense in the world why tonight would be such a spectacular, almost sold-out crowd.
Yes, and as you mentioned, Nick, this game is to be able to go to the state playoff tournament, the state championship tournament hosted by Ventura College next weekend on the 15th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. As Calhoun gets the steal, she's going to go up for the easy layup and knocks it down.
And Glendale is turning the ball over a lot right now. They're not able to handle this pressure early.
They're trying to speed it up too quick. They need to slow it down and readjust.
1:10 remaining in the first quarter of play. 23-10 lead for the Raiders.
Good screen and kick. That's what you need right
Spot
there.
it up.
Big three.
Good three-point attempt. That's Haley Wilson with a quick trigger.
That was Wilson out of John Burroughs High School in Burbank.
Moorpark, one of the things that you see out of their offense, their wing is going to be able to dribble they're a person that's top of the key dribbles to the wing, and then the corner goes for a backdoor cut. That's what they do in this whole entire time, but Glendale's catching up to it.
Bree needed to drive the lane a little bit more on that shot. She faded back a little too soon.
30 seconds, goes up for the layup, and Jan Kolofsky gets it to go. 6 points for her this evening.
Kolofsky's starting to pick up some momentum here for Glendale. They don't have an answer for her here on the Moorpark Raiders side.
Calhoun, however, knocks it down. 8 points for her with only 12 seconds remaining.
Glendale can hold for the final shot here. No need to rush it.
Exactly, no rush for it.
Which
I don't know
is exactly what they
Kolofsky
did, but
there,
they just got a little lucky.
able to get a wide open layup for Tess Oakley-Stilson.
Stilson not really known for her offense as much, but has provided a spark here for Glendale.
A high-flying first quarter of action ends with a 25-17 lead for the Moorpark Raiders.
Game remains interesting right now with only an 8-point margin. Glendale needs to work on not turning the ball over in this next quarter. A lot of turnovers leading to a lot of fast breaks for Moorpark early in this game.
And you talk about the lack of consistency here. Moorpark keeps coming up with steal after steal because Glendale can't get a hold on the grip. It looks like there's confusion inside on the sidelines, on the side of the court, pardon me. But ultimately, I think that Moorpark is just capitalizing on every area except for the fact they don't have an answer to Savlovsky right now.
Well, Jan Kulowski has provided the most points tonight. Look to feed her the ball a little bit more. A couple of jumpers have gone down, but try to drive the ball inside and get fouls. Moorpark does not have a lot of depth on their roster. You want to try and foul out some of these star players on this team.
And their bench doesn't do too much either. Last game, they only had 7 points. So if Glendale can shut down the starting 5, then they're going to have a very easy time shutting down the rest of them.
Well, and the key to me would be Barbara because she's the size inside. So if you can get her in foul trouble, it opens up the rest of your offense.
Exactly. When she comes out, that's when you have to execute because you take advantage when she's off the court.
With that being said, we're ready to start the second quarter of play. And just a little side note, with yesterday being International Women's Day, and then also this being the Women's Month, Women's Awareness Month, we actually have women's referees all here. All 3 of the referees are women, and here at the women's basketball game, thought that would be a key point to talk about a little bit.
And that's great to see. Last game, actually, with Cerritos, I think there was only 1 or 2 female officials. Gentlemen, you guys are both here. There wasn't all female officials, right? There was a couple of males as well.
Yes.
So yeah, that is a great point, Ryan, to see that it is an all women's game for basically International Women's Day.
Jankulowski misses the shot as Calhoun now comes up in transition, goes against 2 defenders and gets fouled.
That's always a tough call to make too, because you want to make sure that your feet are set, which would create a charge, but if you are moving inside the circle, that creates a blocking foul. It's a tough thing for a ref to judge.
That's her first team foul on the Vaqueros. Calhoun to the line for 2 shots.
All right, now Calhoun will go to the line for 2 shots here. She gets fouled.
Calhoun knocks down the first. Calhoun so far this season, statistically speaking, she has been from the free throw line, knocking down the second one first of all. She has been shooting this season from the free throw line currently about 70.5%, so just over the 70% range. Perfect from the line on that trip.
The screen and roll game seems to be the bread and butter right now for Glendale. That's what's working well. Continue to drive that ball into the paint. Good
and some
kick.
nice quick passes. Lazy rotation by the Raiders leads to a wide open three by number 12, Penelope True.
You don't want to fall asleep. That means coach is calling a timeout and is going to soon address this, hopefully.
Yep, right after that traveling violation, another turnover, 27-22 lead for the Raiders, only up by 5 with 8:52 remaining in the first half of play.
Still plenty of time for Glendale to possibly make a run, grab the lead here. Good move in the paint. Careful of the trap.
Jankolovsky trying to get something, but a wide open mid-range jumper is no good. Offensive rebound goes to the Vaqueros.
Didn't quite square herself to the basket. That's part of the reason that shot didn't go down right there.
One thing you're seeing a lot is Glendale is attacking right now. That's what you need to do. We were mentioning foul trouble, trying to get Barbara Rangel in foul trouble for Glendale. That's what they need to do, and right now it seems like they're trying to do that, or at least trying to get that open shot down low to force that contact.
Well, Barbara's actually playing very smart right now because she's not over-committing to the ball.
And she probably knows exactly why they're going for her as Barbara Rangel knocks down the easy deuce. But as we were mentioning, she probably knows that they're trying to go for her and trying to get her out, because with only 8 players on the team and nobody the size of Barbara with 6'2" frame, she's definitely needed and playing back a little bit on defense, but still aggressive enough.
Nice ball moving inside the paint.
Inside out, keep rotating.
Trying to find that open look.
Good
They're
recovery.
forcing her
Pull-up
baseline,
jumper.
knocks it down.
Glendale's starting to get on the rhythm here. Not only down by 5 points, they definitely look like a different team than Moorpark saw the 4th game of the season here.
That was Gloria Bianchi as Kristen Sullivan on the other end can't knock down the 3.
It seems a half-court set is the way to go right now for Glendale. They've slowed it down and been more methodical with the ball.
And one thing you never want to do, you never want to beat the team with what they do best, because usually they're the best at it and they know how to defend it.
Right.
So if you slow it down and you switch it up, they don't know how to defend it as well.
That's correct.
29-24, 7 minutes remaining here in the first half as Moorpark has a 5-point lead. Glendale fans section definitely showing their Vaquero pride.
They're playing tight on Brianna, knowing that she can score very easily.
Calhoun's so good at driving straight to the lane. They don't have an answer for it.
And with that last layup, Brianna Calhoun has 12 points so far in this first half of play, as coming into the game, number 20, Marlene Salazar for Glendale.
Now
one of the new players.
Last week, in my opinion, I thought we saw Brianna play more of the point. Lately, we've seen Jasmine Carrasco playing a lot of the point as of late in this game.
And that's one thing that Kenny Plummer probably addresses in practice is you got 2 great players that can handle the ball and shoot effectively, so just switch them off of that position sometimes. You have those players that can just control the offense while shooting and passing, so we'll definitely see them switching off a little bit. As number 5, draining that 3, that's Sylvia Martazarian, one of the star players that we were talking about in pregame.
This atmosphere is fired up right now. Both sides very into this game.
A little surprised we didn't see a Kristen Sullivan 3 as she was wide open. Carrasco, though, finds Barbara Rangel, gives it right back. A little give and go action, not the usual give and go, but Carrasco can't knock it down.
I think she rushed it just a little bit, didn't set her feet.
A little bit of a turn and shoot there.
That's one thing you'll see when you've been shooting against a defender for so long. When you have a wide open shot in a game, sometimes you'll force it a little too quick and you won't understand your mechanics, as Herring is going to take a coast to coast. Can't knock it down. Rangel is there.
Good hustle by Glendale trying to get that rebound.
Glendale showing a lot of heart, getting the steal.
Slow it down, you don't have numbers. But they get the foul, and in that case, that compensates for the 2-on-3 that they were in trouble with.
And it was, as you mentioned, it was a little surprising to be able to see them go for that. You only kind of want to go for that when you have that definitive advantage. But with them playing the half-court offense for the majority of the game, it was a little bit surprising to see them go straight for the basket on that one.
Now, before this game, Glendale has had problems all year at the free throw line, but tonight they've seemed to have been near perfect with it.
I saw the little pause there as well. Trying not to give them the broadcaster's curse.
Exactly.
Penelope True, though, knocking
Jinx.
down that first free throw as she has 4 points. She did get the little bit of the shooter's bounce, the little lucky roll, as that one is for sure in. 5 points for her, 31-29. Only a 2-point lead for the #1 team in the state of California, the Moorpark Raiders. Calhoun breaks some ankles but can't knock down the layup.
Tess slipped on that play, allowing Brianna to get to the rim.
Calhoun's such an all-around player. She's going to take her shot, she's going to rebound, she's going to get right back in your face, takes no time off, and that's one reason why she's the leader for the Moorpark Raiders.
One of the things that Calhoun does the best is be able to get in the other star player's head. She's just going to go right up in their face, and that's exactly what she did in Ayala as well. But
Good handle.
there we go. That's how Jan Kolofsky has been able to make a name for herself, and she's able to knock down another layup with 8 points now.
We got a tie game.
Big
And speaking
three.
about tie game, Carrasco knocking down the three, giving the Raiders a 3-point lead.
Answer for an answer. It's a daily double, except it's not Jeopardy. So anyway.
This is a heck of a game,
is an
though.
exciting game.
34-31, only a 3-point lead for the Raiders. As you mentioned, it was tied up 31 apiece before Carrasco was able to knock down the transition three-pointer. But with only 4:41 remaining in the first half of play, what do you think Glendale needs to do? Or should they just continue to do the same things to be able to get this lead and get the momentum going their way? Because it seems like they are getting more and more momentum throughout this entire second quarter.
Keep doing what they're doing. I mean, the best way right now to combat Moorpark is they're just out hustling right now. They're getting the rebounds away from Barbara, and they're knocking down shots, and they're able to recognize late rotation and are swinging the ball around in the correct places. So yes, I would say keep doing what you're doing. Feed the ball to your star players, which they've been doing, and they've been knocking shots down.
We're now back after the timeout. 34-31, 3-point advantage for Moorpark Raiders. #1 seed over the #9 seeded Glendale Community College Vaqueros. No matter what, this is going to be the last game that the Raiders play in Raider Sports Pavilion this season. As if they win, they get to go after the state championship tournament. If they lose, then obviously that would be the last game. Driving baseline, going up for the easy layup, but can't knock it down. Too much momentum.
Moorpark
See,
catches
but
a
that's
lucky
what you
break.
have to do, because Barbara got drawn out to the three-point line, which makes it easier to drive past. Makes it easier to drive past if Barbara's out at the three-point line, because the speed factor.
Brianna Calhoun was able to knock down the layup, but as you mentioned, when you have a player that Barbara has to guard that's outside the three-point line, that's what you want to do. You want to draw her out of the paint, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. That's a great game plan. Going out for a three-point attempt, no good. Just catches there as Carrasco is able to get it.
You want to go to your bread and butter, get Carrasco in the corner. She's so deadly with these threes. Or feed Calhoun, either one.
Brianna got a little in trouble there in traffic, but able to find Carrasco.
Ayala was able to knock it down. That's her 4th point of the evening. 3:25 remaining in the first half of play as the Raiders have a 7-point lead, 38-31.
And Glendale wants to go on a run right now.
If you're Moorpark, this is where you keep your foot on the gas. Don't let them get back into this game. Nice 7-point lead. You got to start pulling away from here. It's only going to be halftime, but you got to start pulling away, because this is definitely not the team that they've seen before. Glendale has just showed this first half that they can keep up and outplay the Moorpark Raiders.
I don't know what was said during that timeout, but right now, Moorpark was able to take that transition three with a 3-point lead into the timeout break, and so far force a couple of turnovers and score 4 more points. As Ayala now has it, dribbling baseline, trying to get some motion offense. Calhoun gets open, but no good on the layup.
That's a gimme. You got to make those layups.
Good physical rebound, however.
Wide open three, passed up on, going up for the floater. No good off the glass as Rangel gets the rebound, trying to go for the steal, some contact.
They call a foul or a tie up there?
I think that was a foul on number 14, Tess Oakley Stilson from Glendale.
Barbara Rangel, we talked about a little bit in the pregame show with her rebounding abilities. 14.6 alone that she averages on the year. And as a team, they average 44.6 rebounds a game. These numbers are ridiculous, to say the least.
2:25 remaining in the first half of play. The 7-point lead still stands for the Raiders.
Moorpark trying to control the momentum of this game here. Let it breathe for a minute here before you take your next shot. You want to make smart shots, not just these quick turn and shoots.
Jazzy Carrasco with the thread pass all the way to Rangel, misses it but puts it back for the layup.
And that's one thing that Moorpark will never seem to have a problem with, is getting Rangel in the paint. It's almost a gimme every time.
One thing though, you need to make a better pass. You need to get a better angle, as Tess Oakley-Stilson will go to the free throw line, but on that pass, you need to be able to have a better angle, because Jazzy Carrasco, she saw there was a double team on Barbara Rangel. There was someone that was fronting her. She was just able to get that pass over the hands of the defender because of Rangel's height. If they did not have that height, she needs to be able to get a better pass to the corner, do a bounce pass to Rangel.
Nick, let me ask you this. Would you consider triple teaming Barbara?
No,
although because it would
because double teaming already they have problems with, but if you were to triple team, now you're opening up 2 other people on the court, and that's going to cause a domino effect of problems. So no, I would not. But Glendale has shown, and they have height now. One thing that I don't think Moorpark's seen too much is they haven't played teams that have the height that Glendale has. They have a 5'10", 5'11". Some of these, high, no 6-footers here, but they have some women here that can play with the height of Rangel, and they have the athleticism that I don't think Rangel's seen thus far in the year. So definitely not triple team, but stay consistent and stay in her face, because you can see that she's starting to get a little tired here.
40-33 as Glendale forces the turnover. 1:40 remaining in the first half of play, only a 7-point lead for the Moorpark Raiders.
If they can get another bucket and hold Moorpark before half, that puts a lot of pressure going into halftime. And they have just done that.
And they were just able to get it. That was Haley Wilson, has 7 points in the game.
Now comes a stop.
As we mentioned, Glendale has no pressure on them. Obviously, being the 9 seed going up against the #1 team, you're expected to lose. But if you have all that fire, there's nothing that's expected from you. So you're just going to be able to go out there and just let it all loose. Moorpark, they have so much pressure in this game.
See, Glendale should be commended because they've stayed pretty calm throughout this half. They've stayed pretty calm throughout this half, so Glendale should be commended from the way they played right now.
And that's a good point, Justin. They're not letting the moment get to them. Now, this is a huge game, the biggest game of their season. Ryan, you talked about this is the first time they've ever made it this far. Glendale's women's basketball team in the history of the school, correct?
Yes, they had their first playoff victory last week in school history.
Now, and you can just see by the way they're playing, they're keeping up. They at one point had the lead in this game. So they are not letting the moment get bigger than them. They have to stay consistent. Everyone do their assignment, and it will pay off for them.
Brianna Calhoun takes the steal coast to coast.
Good
no good on the layup attempt.
Good physical defense. Way to recover the ball.
That was a good recovery, especially with Calhoun, how good she is around the rim. 7-point lead, 42-35 for the Raiders. Only 25 seconds remaining in the first half of play is coming back in. Number 5, Sylvia Bardazarian.
This is definitely one of the more exciting games that we've seen here at Pavilion Stadium, pardon me.
The Raider Sports Pavilion hasn't had a game this exciting for a
draw that
while with women's basketball, as Herring's able to get the bucket and the foul.
Way to draw that up right there. Good out of bounds play to draw the foul and get the basket. Go to the line.
A little bit of an argument there, but they were able to break it up. You see here, as these games get bigger and bigger, so does the tensions as they rise. You've got to keep your cool in these situations. Don't let the moment get bigger than you. Don't want any technicals, any flagrants, anything that can cause you to be jeopardized. Now, if you look at the roster for the Moorpark Raiders, not a single woman on this team has been DQ'd all year. And that's a great sign. That shows that they play with their head, not with their body.
Herring is able to complete the 3-point play. 45-35 lead, 10-point lead here for the Raiders. Doesn't feel like 10, however, with how Glendale's playing tonight.
Every time Moorpark gets a lead, Glendale bounces right back.
Good
no
rebound.
good on the
just like that.
jump shot, but taking it back, that's Bardazarian.
Good rebound.
Pull one more three before
Way
the
to
half
get
to set some
position and
momentum.
establish.
Isabel Ayala has it. Trying to find Barbara Rangel. She's made a 3 this season, but kicks it across. Crossgo, no good. A 45-37, 8-point lead for the Raiders. Going into halftime. Make sure that you stay tuned to our Raider halftime show that's going to be in a few seconds here, as we're going to be able to discuss everything that happened in the first half of play. But once again, at the end of the first half, an 8-point lead for the Raiders, the number 1 seed, only up by a small margin against the number 9 seeded team. But make sure that you stay tuned for the halftime show only here on the Raiders live stream. Thank you. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Moorpark Raider live stream here for the Raider halftime report. Once again, Ryan Ketchum, play-by-play commentator, joined alongside Nick Federico and Justin Borsis, your color commentator analyst. We just watched a very exciting first half of play, 45-37 lead for the Raiders over the Glendale Community College Vaqueros. Leading scorer of this first half, number 14, Brianna Calhoun. She had 4 assists to be able to start off the game before she even scored a point. How much of an impact did she have on this game, and how much impact do you see her making on the rest of the game?
Well, she is in some ways the unquestioned leader. She has the court vision. She's able to pass very well out of double teams, able to find the right people. Barbara Rangel, who is the size advantage inside, able to get her the ball over the top. This has been a very, very fast-paced half. A lot of up and down running, a lot of lazy turnovers as well from both sides. Want to clean that up heading into the second stanza here.
Then also on the Glendale Community College side, I mean, scoring 37 points here in the first half. I mean, that's a great number, but coming within 8 points, you were able to tie the game at 31 apiece. What does Glendale need to do to be able to overcome that and actually gain the lead and actually try to be able to get this victory? Because right now, just getting that tie, that 31-31 tie before Jazzy Crossco was able to knock down the transition 3, That's great and all, but you're not going to win the game when you do that. What did they need to change, or what do they need to do to be able to get this victory here in the second half and actually get the lead?
They need to figure out how to stop Barbara Rangel. Right now, and throughout the year, she's been able to rebound time and time again. They don't have an answer for her inside the paint. And on top of that, once you find a way to stop Barbara Rangel, who of course is the biggest woman on the court, you need to figure out how to control and lock down Calhoun. Because Calhoun, we see she can get you with the assist. She's good at passing. She's good at reading the field. She's up in your face with steals, and she's not scared of anybody. She'll come at you from all sides, and she knows how to ultimately, like you said, she's a captain. She controls this Raiders basketball team. So if they can stop Rangel and then figure out a way to maybe slow down Calhoun, the Glendale will have a chance to get back in this game and keep the lead. Now that we've seen them tie it and get the lead for a minute, but then they lose it because Calhoun kicks it on, Rangel kicks it on, and Carrasco can hurt you deep in the corner. So they need to start work on those big three to ultimately have a chance to get away with this game, because we talked about this is the first time in the school's history that they have ever gotten this far in the playoffs. So there's a lot on their table, but they can't let the moment get bigger than them.
This may be a risk, but I would consider playing man-to-man, not zone, and possibly not even double-teaming Barbara, and see if she can make her own mistakes inside. Because offensively, Glendale has played very solid. They're able to get open looks, convert jump shots. Jan Kulowski is also a big threat, and she's been one of the leading scorers tonight, so continue to feed her the ball offensively. But I would consider playing man-to-man and see if Barbara can kind of shoot herself in the foot and see if that can offset Brianna as well.
And to add to that, Glendale is one of the more conditioned teams that we've ever seen play Moorpark. I mean, we've seen Barbara Rangel, she's out of breath, she's gassed. You know, you got to think about it. With Moorpark's depth, with only 8 total players on the roster, and 5 of them get 30-plus minutes, all of these girls here are getting tired, they're getting gassed. And when you have a team like Glendale who's keeping the gas on your neck, they're not letting off the brakes, it's going to wear down a team. See, Glendale, they have the benefit in the fact that they have a lot of depth with their roster. Moorpark only has 3 other backups, so they got to take advantage of that, and Rangel might just shoot herself in the foot.
The other thing is turnovers. We've seen a lot of turnovers on both sides, but when it comes to Glendale, they've sped themselves up a lot, and they haven't been able to capitalize on those extra 8 to 10 points that they might have been able to get had they not turned that ball over. So try and clog the lane okay, but make sure you kick out before the double team comes.
Now, quick thing, Tessa Oakley-Stilson. She is not one of those star players that we usually hear of, number 14 on the Vaqueros team, but she's the leading scorer for Glendale Community College. She has 10 points so far. She was actually able to score the first 6 of the evening. What kind of impact did that do to a team when you could be able to pass it to a player like that maybe Moorpark didn't game plan for, since they had a game plan for Jankulovsky and company? What can that do to a team to be able to open it up a little bit? Does that kind of give Jankulovsky a few more opportunities as well?
Yes, because it opens up the entire floor. When you don't game plan for a particular star player, when that player starts scoring, it makes the defense actually key in on said player. So it opens up the entire floor, it gets everybody else more touches of the ball, and it's able to add more depth to the roster in that way. Tess has been an unsung hero. We talked about her defensive skills, but she's added multiple points tonight, which was unexpected, but a great sign for Glendale moving forward.
Now, one thing that I did see that Glendale did time and time again is they were fronting Barbara Rangel. One of the things that was great about that as well is Moorpark wasn't able to make that correct pass into the post. They were able to do it a few times, but sometimes they got lucky with that. So do you think that is the way to be able to attack her? Because if you have that double team on her, plus with fronting, it seems like that's the best way to be able to attack Barbara and get her to be able to miss some shots and get some turnovers created.
Yeah, I think they're having success with it, so yeah, keep up with it. Ultimately, their game plan, how Glendale is playing, it's working for them. We don't see too many flaws in the system. I mean, we've seen them talk about take the lead, stay on top of it. But yes, you know, I think that the key to their success ultimately comes down to how do they stop Moorpark's 6'2" center, the Hawaii commit, by the way. And if they can rationalize and ultimately scheme right now, because halftime is when games are really won and lost. Inside that locker room, how are they adjusting? Are they going to come out the second half like we saw Cerritos had basically no change in game plan? Or are they going to switch it up completely and figure out a way to totally lock down Barbara Rangel in the Moorpark offense? Because they're both dominant, but it really comes down to the coaching at this point, guys.
I actually disagree with you, Nick.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a more radical approach.
Okay.
Let her catch the ball, but try to make sure that you don't let her get that deep in the post, because that way you could force the double team and try to force a pass out of it. What happens when you talk about fronting is they've been able to pass over the top, which means she's able to catch and get right in front of the basket and score. So I would try and double team her before she gets inside that baseline. That way, if she does catch the ball, it either forces her to try to drive through the double team, or she's going to have to kick and continue the zone around the perimeter.
And I see where you're coming from, because once she does get inside that paint, it's almost a gimme every
Automatic,
single time.
correct.
But if you double team her before, pardon me, then she doesn't have as much success with the shooting and her field goal percentage.
Right.
So I get where you're coming from, Justin.
Yes, I mean.
But I'm sticking to my opinion, but I like where you're coming from.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if they
All right.
adjust the second half. But I think it's a solid idea, because then you're also not compensating by leaving a three-point line as open. You can recover to the three-point line a lot quicker.
Well, that's some great points by both of you. You heard it from our analysts themselves. We'll see what they go for here in the second half. But as we do have this Moorpark Raider halftime report, a 45-37 lead for the Raiders, an 8-point lead right now in the 3C 2A Southern California Regional Playoff Bracket. This is round number 3. Whoever wins this game goes on to the state championship tournament, once again held at Ventura College, which is going to be aired on the 15th, 16th, and 17th next weekend. So make sure that you continue to stay tuned here on the Moorpark Raider live stream to be able to check out who's going to win this game. But once again, thank you for tuning in to the Raider halftime report. We'll be back with second half action in just a few moments. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Moorpark Raider live stream for your coverage of the 3C2A Southern California Regional Playoffs. This is round 3 between the Moorpark Raiders and the visiting Glendale Community College Vaqueros. This is the number 1 seed against the number 9 seed, and right now the number 1 seed in the state of California and the number 1 seed in the Southern California Regional Playoff bracket. The Moorpark Raiders are up 45-37 at home, an 8-point lead. Right now, Brianna Calhoun, 22 points, leading all scorers, as Emily Herring has 9, Isabel Ayala has 6 herself, Jazzy Carrasco has 8, and Barbara Rangel has 8.
Interested to see what we talked about Barbara Rangel inside, if they're going to continue to front her or if they're going to let her catch just outside of the post.
Yeah, the potential double team you were talking about, Justin. We'll see if that comes into play as the second half gets underway.
Well, they had double teamed her prior anyway.
Brianna Calhoun has it at the start of this second half of play as she gets a nice kind of screen as Barbara Rangel was boxing out the other player. No good on it, however.
One thing that it's kind of unique to see, and you hardly ever see here in sports, is Calhoun is actually smiling while she's playing. She's having a lot of fun. You can see it in her face when she's out here playing with her teammates. That's something you don't really see too often in sports, but you can see the physical joy when she goes up for a point or she's in someone's face, and that is how and why she's so good at what she does.
As you saw right there, Sylvia Partizarian was able to knock down the contested layup, got fouled, will now go to the free throw line. She completed the 3-point play. She has 8 points, which number 14, as we mentioned, Tess Oakley-Stilson has 10. We also have number 15 who has scored, Gloria Bianchi, and then number 12, Penelope True has 5 points. Number 4, Haley Wilson has 7 of herself, and number 3, Cheyenne Jankolovsky has 8 of her own, as well as the Moorpark Raiders have the ball on a side out of bounds with Brianna Calhoun.
Looks like there's a stoppage, something on Sylvia's leg that they're wiping up. That's why they had to go from the sideline.
That's one thing that is great about basketball as well, is since you're on the court, a lot of your body is exposed. You're sliding on the ground a lot. You need to make sure that there's any cut, any blood that comes out, that you clean it up and you make sure that those players are okay to be able to go. You don't want any diseases being passed or anything like that.
Safety first.
Exactly. So good thing on that part is we have a 45-40 lead here for the Moorpark Raiders over the Vaqueros right now. Right now they were looking for Barbara Rangel. Almost looked like she was fronted a bit. As she gets it, though, double team comes, no good on the layup.
And they let her catch it inside. So they let her beat you, because Brianna could be too lethal from 3.
Some lazy transition defense as number 12, Penelope True, had a wide open 3, no good.
No, it's interesting because I would like to see Glendale possibly pressure Brianna even more, try to get up in her grill just a little bit. That could have been a catch-and-shoot 3.
And we do have a catch-and-shoot 3 right there, and it goes. That's that score I was talking about. We were talking about her at halftime. Number 14, Tess Oakley-Stilson, not one of the start players, but 13 points in this game at the first 6. Leading scorer for the Vaqueros, getting them within 2 points, 45-43.
Well,
She's the X factor for this game for sure.
And that's what Glendale needs to be able to beat Moorpark today, those X-factor kind of players stepping up.
Jankolovsky coming up with a big block on Sullivan. They're able to find Carrasco, and no good on the 3, but still keeping it alive.
Glendale playing extremely aggressive right now as they go for the double team right there.
Yeah, right now, coming out of this halftime break, Glendale's played with a lot of heart tonight, but right now it seems like all their hearts, they are playing as hard as possible as Carrasco misses the layup.
Defensive intensity has ratcheted up a ton right now for Glendale.
Jankolovsky, not a good pass as Calhoun steals it. Calhoun finding Carrasco, wide open 3, no good.
She was in rhythm, just a little long.
Now, if you're Calhoun, you're the captain, you need to take control of this team. Things aren't going your way. Slow it down. Talk to your players during the next timeout. You've got a lot of time left in the second half. It's only the 3rd quarter.
I wouldn't be shocked that if Glendale takes the lead within the next couple of minutes here, that Coach Plummer would call a timeout and regroup with his kids.
You need to, especially when the momentum's flipping, obviously, to Glendale's side here. You've got to regroup with your troops and reassure them, because this is when make or break moments start to happen here. You get a little bit, how is the #1 team only up by 2 points against the #9 team when they beat them by 20 earlier in the year?
I believe
all these questions coming through your head. You've got to relax and refocus.
I believe it's a 6-0 run right now.
Yes, the halftime score is 45-37, and now 45-43 is, you're right, 6-0 run for Glendale.
And Moorpark's offense looks very disjointed. Very disjointed right now. They don't really know where to go with the ball.
Moorpark catching a little break with the travel, it looked like there.
And yes, it is traveling violation, as there's 7:03 remaining in the third quarter of action, as Moorpark is only hanging on to a slim 2-point lead over the 9th seed.
You got to give your hats off to Glendale. They definitely prepared for this game.
Coach Weiss is totally engaged. He's yelling from all the way on the other side of the court to his team right now.
Not only the coach, but the fans as well. I mean, when they went on that 6-0 run we were just talking about, where the entire crowd was on their feet like a standing ovation. So it is something to see when the parents are so involved into the game as well. Brings another atmosphere to it.
With 6:50 remaining in the third quarter, Moorpark still held scoreless in this quarter of play as Calhoun finds Rangel. No good on the layup, and Glendale secures the board.
And Glendale seems to have found an answer to Rangel. They let her go in the paint. They just triple team her when she gets inside. She can't get a shot off.
Jankulovsky made some great moves, but she has to calm herself down to make the pass, because right now, back-to-back transition plays, she's made bad passes.
Moorpark might want to look to slow it. Moorpark might want to look to slow it down right here.
Definitely, Justin. They keep trying to feed Rangel every time that they get the ball in their hands there. They got to start taking some three-point shots or not go to the most obvious.
Well, because now Glendale is telegraphing that. They know that that's coming, so it's time to adjust your game plan.
That's what we were talking about at halftime. They made the correct adjustment, it seems, thus far. They know that Moorpark wants to continuously go to Rangel, and they're not having any success with it, so they need to switch it up quick.
After that made layup from Calhoun, that gives her 16 points in the game, as Rangel was able to force the bad shot.
Had to be careful of an 8-second right there, able to get across the line.
Close. Good call right there. Get a timeout, regroup. Gives your team a break as well. We were talking about with only 8 players on their depth chart. These starting 5 are constantly pushing their limits when it comes to their physical condition, stamina.
You know, I actually like that timeout a lot more too, because I've seen a lot of coaches throughout basketball, not just here in junior college, but as I've watched college and NBA, they call timeouts once they give up a lead. I like it when coaches call timeouts when they still have somewhat of a margin, so they can either build on that or prepare for something like that, instead of giving up a lead and then trying to work from behind.
Right, you kind of prepare yourself for the worst case scenario, right? You foresee the future and the way that things are playing out, that it's most likely going to be detrimental to your team if you don't give them a break at some point. So, a good call right there.
5:44 remaining in the third quarter of action, a 4-point lead, 47-43 for the Moorpark Raiders, #1 seed over the #9 seed at Glendale Community College Vaqueros, showing a lot of heart in this game.
This has been an exciting game to say the least, gentlemen.
One of the most exciting games I've seen all year.
Touché. And
as Mia Moore now has it, Jazzy Carrasco getting the screen. Mia Moore, she has a nice 3-point shot. She does get open. No good on the attempt, though, as Jankulovsky knocks it out of bounds.
And this is when you need your subs to come in and start building and obviously getting this lead back. Last week, they only had 7 points off the bench, and the bench really needs to pull their weight right now for Moorpark, as they have not had a real answer for scoring in the second half.
Brianna Calhoun has it. She's going to hand it off to Carrasco. Carrasco making a nice move on the hesitation. Goes up for the floater, no good. Moorpark able to keep it alive. As there we go, another turnover, but Calhoun gets it right back. Floater is good.
Nice job by Calhoun finding open space, and she's able to knock it down.
Nice ball move right there by Glendale. Scanning the perimeter. And the layup.
There's her again. Able to knock it down. That was Tess Oakley-Stilson.
And Barbara Rangel is out of this game. So this is the time for Glendale to capitalize.
Brianna Calhoun, and she knocks down the three.
That's a big three right there. It creates the margin back to 7.
Glendale, this is where you take advantage right now with the sub.
Going for the quarter three, and it's good. This girl is on fire right now.
And one of the reasons this game might be so close, we talk about how much Moorpark averages a game. They average 86.2 a game, and they're only at 52 as we are mostly through this third quarter here.
And that brings us back to the point that Ryan was talking about with the stellar defense in the Glendale team against the Moorpark offense. And the Glendale defense has definitely won this battle today.
And the Vaqueros, I mean, showing the heart right there. Tessa Oakley-Stilson stealing the offensive rebound away from Herring and getting herself a defensive rebound. I mean, just the effort that they're playing with only 3:13 remaining in the third quarter of play.
The refs are letting them play physical as well.
And that's one thing I like to see. I don't like it when they're calling fouls left and right. Obviously, when it's a true foul, you got to call it, as Jan Kolofsky misses the putback layup attempt.
It looks like somebody is in a little bit of pain there.
And that's Jan Kolofsky that's
yeah,
down on the ground.
she's one of the star players. This could be a very key moment in this game right now.
Seems like it was her right leg. They're trying to stretch it out.
If she is she came down in a lot of pain.
One thing that you have to do if it's an injury like that, you can't just go for a stretch, because when you have grade 2 sprains, grade 2 strains, anything of that nature, that's when it's a partial tear. Not saying that it is right now, but if you overstretch that, then that could be even worse. I mean, so right now, if you're just going for a quick stretch, that could actually make the injury worse than it is already.
I mean, we can't speculate on what the injury might be, but we hope it's something as minor as a cramp or a pulled muscle, which honestly, it didn't look like that from the way that she came down. Did she came down on her backside or on her leg? I couldn't quite see.
Well, the way that they're rubbing it, too, it definitely looks like it's a muscle-related injury.
Muscle-related.
Yeah, and right there, they were rubbing out the right calf, and usually the calf is that main muscle to the ankle.
And she seems to be okay. Might have just been kind of a shock to the system as she came down right there and needed to recover for a second.
And one thing that you have to be careful for, which this happens in basketball all the time, personally for me, I've had this injury as well, is when you go up for a rebound and you come back down and you land on someone's ankle. That could be as easy as that. You need to be able to stretch out the calf muscle a little bit too, because that's the main muscle to the ankle. So I'm assuming it's something like that. As it seems like she is okay.
I mean, she might just get checked out even more preliminary right now. They may just sub her out for a quick breather, but I would anticipate her coming back into this game as long as there's nothing
she's sitting
more.
on the bench right now. They're rubbing out her leg a little bit.
I would say, is the captain here for this women's basketball team as well. So when you see her go down, you definitely want to make sure that she's okay, because the impact that she has around with the players around her.
Well, and if you're Glendale, you don't want to let this rattle you. You want to rally together and continue to fight. You're very much in this game. You're staying focused to this point.
That was number 4, Haley Wilson, at the free throw line. She went 0 for 2 on that trip. 4-point lead for the Raiders, 52-48.
For Moorpark, you need to create some space for a shot. They haven't had too many opportunities tonight to get a wide open shot, because Glendale has just been all up in their face with the man.
Right now, Glendale is fronting Barbara Rangel, as they're going to be a 3 in the key against Barb.
And that is a big foul right there. 3-second call, able to go the other way on a turnover. Let's see if Glendale can capitalize.
2:30 remaining in the third quarter of play. Still only a 4-point disadvantage for the Vaqueros. They're going up against man-to-man defense right now. As Barbara is spread out to the three-point line. No good on the three-point attempt as they're not able to get the rebound. Calhoun goes up for the layup. Great defense there by Wilson.
She lost the ball right there. Glendale getting a nice opportunity to secure that.
And right now, even with their main player out, Glendale still showing the same heart that they did when she was in with only 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter of play.
And as a captain, even if you're not on the court, you still got to create leadership. Rally the bench. You know, if you see screens, call them as you see it. You still have to be a part of the game, even if you can't physically be out there.
No good on the jump shot, as going to be a foul on the ground. Going to be against the Raiders, so Glendale ball. Down to number 15, Gloria Bianchi, with the missed mid-range jump shot.
Was that an over the back call?
It seemed like it was either that or a push and foul. They were holding down there a little bit while they were going for the rebound. One thing that you did see is Moorpark switch to the man-to-man defense. That's going to be a traveling violation turnover as the Raiders get the ball back.
Mental toughness.
We've seen a lot of traveling calls today.
Yeah.
And that is a good point, Justin. There has been a lot of traveling calls. One of the reasons why is sometimes when you get the ball, you're able to take the step and then dribble. But some referees like it where before you take that step, you put the ball down. And sometimes just little things like that can be able to get in a player's head, and you just get traveling violation after traveling violation. There's going to be a foul on Bianchi as she was guarding Isabel Ayala.
Some frustration from the Moorpark sideline. I think that they thought that they'd be up by a lot more than they are at this moment, but Glendale has prevailed and been in this fight the entire game tonight.
Jazzy Carrasco so far in this game had 8 points. Hasn't been too much of a factor in this quarter, however, as Rangel has it at the high post.
And Carrasco averages 17.6 points a game, way under her average as we were ahead almost into the fourth quarter.
Only 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Brianna Calhoun, no good on the three. Caught air as there's only 52 seconds remaining in the third quarter, and Glendale still down by 4.
Now, one thing that needs to be pointed out here is Moorpark hasn't been able to hit or make any of these threes as of late. I can't tell you the last time I saw Moorpark make a three within the last 10 minutes.
Well, you know what's interesting, Nick? They've been driving the ball in the paint, which is actually not their normal style of play. They usually like to take jump shots behind the arc.
And that's what we were talking about with Barbara Rangel. They just keep trying to feed her the ball. They keep trying to feed her the ball here, and it's not working out to their benefit.
35 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Right now, Jan Kolofsky, she's still on the bench, but she's rolling out her calf with a hand roller. Only 5 seconds remaining. Going up for the contested layup, and it's no good as Barbara gets the rebound. Some tough effort shown as she forces the jump ball. That's Tess Oakley-Stilson. Remember that name. She's having herself a heck of a night.
What effort from Glendale. They just need to start seeing those mid-range jumpers go through the hoop. They've been rolling off the rim, just not getting the touch. They can hold for the final shot here.
I cannot say enough about Tess Oakley-Stilson, number 14 of Glendale. However, she's just showing so much heart and playing so great out there. She has the ball now in the corner. Going up for the mid-range jumper. No good, but to get the board. That is still alive. It's going to be a foul on the ground, and it seems like it's against the Raiders.
Now, Glendale has a lot of heart. Stilson going up against Rangel. Stilson is listed here at 5'6". Rangel, 6'2". And that's the kind of effort you can't teach in basketball or any sport. She's basically saying, I'm fearless, I'll go up against you all day, every day. And she's been in Rangel's face all night.
8 seconds remaining. Dribbling in, going up for the contested layup. Not a good shot. They had enough time as Isabel Ayala is going to go in transition. Doesn't see the clock and the timer runs out. 52-48 lead going into the fourth quarter of action for the Moorpark Raiders over the Glendale Community College Vaqueros in the third round of the 3C 2A Southern California Regional Playoffs.
Regardless of how this game ends, Glendale needs to be very, very pleased and proud of their effort today. They have hung tough with Moorpark's size and speed tonight. And Test has been the unsung hero of the game, as well as their rebounding ability and being able to tie up the ball.
And this is the lowest scoring quarter as well of the game. As we came out at halftime, it was 45-37. Moorpark has only been able to put 7 more points up on the board. So their offense has slowed down tremendously. Glendale's doing, it looks like, everything that they can in their power to stop the Raiders from coming out here with a victory tonight. And you got to give them credit. I mean, they're playing with extreme energy. You just see them, they're flying around. Even when their leader goes down, they're bouncing back. And they are a mere 4 points away from tying this game up, and just 1 quarter away if they get the win with walking out here and going to the state playoffs.
The first quarter of action ended with a 25-17 8-point lead for the Raiders. The halftime score was an 8-point lead for the Raiders as well, 45-37, as both teams scored 20 points in the second quarter. Then here at the start of the fourth quarter of play, as you mentioned, the Vaqueros were able to trim the lead down to only 4 points for the Raiders, as they scored 11 points compared to the Raiders only 7 in that quarter alone. Only 7 points. I mean, this Glendale defense is stepping up big.
And if you're Coach Plummer, I get back to your original game plan, or what your team's calling card is, which is shooting threes.
Thank you, Justin. That's what I was going to get to. They keep trying to go inside, take some shots on the outside corner. You know that if you can get open, they're going to make these. They have shooters all around for the Moorpark offense.
And that's been their bread and butter all season, as well as going to Brianna Calhoun, as she's putting up a great night as well. 23 points in the contest for Calhoun. A 54-48 victory at the start of this fourth quarter of play, as Jan Kolofsky is back into the game. Can't knock down her first shot back. It seems like the Caps are okay.
Good for her. You want to finish this game strong, and you want to finish it proudly, and she's able to come back in this fourth quarter.
Especially with what's at stake. If you can get up and you can move, you've got to get back in this game. So hats off to her for coming back out and going forward in the fourth quarter.
Calhoun trying to take over, back-to-back shots, was able to knock down the first but missed the second.
See, the danger with something like that is when you talk about taking over, Ryan, is you then maybe fail to look for your teammates and you try to do it yourself.
And that's one part of her game that she cannot go away from. You mentioned, if she's just trying to do it, she's just trying to get her points by herself. She is that floor general, though, we've been mentioning. She needs to make sure she keeps that part of herself active. That was a foul on Glendale, 54-48. Only a 6-point lead for the Raiders with 8:40 remaining here in this fourth quarter of action.
You're not technically able to slow down quite yet. You still got plenty of time, even with a 6-point lead.
And that's something we haven't seen work in a very long time. But going right there to wrangle in the paint, paying off with a nice 2.
Rangel was being fronted once again. That was a good pass by Herring, but you might have to get a better angle off of that pass as Jankolovsky goes to the hole and gets it to go. 10 points for her tonight.
Jankolovsky, even though only has 10 points on the night, she's playing like she's had 30 tonight, gentlemen. Even after the injury, she's bouncing back and putting up points in the most crucial time in their entire season.
Stepped into that three with authority. At first I thought that shot was a little quick. I would have run a little bit more offense, but knocks it down and 9-point lead.
Sometimes you just know the way it comes off your fingers that it's going in. She could tell, she knew.
She has 11 points so far in this game. Was not a factor in the third quarter, but she was able to get those to go. Number 5, Sylvia Mortazarian, was able to knock down the contested jumper, however, to get herself 10 points as well. 59-52, a 7-point lead for the Raiders here in the fourth quarter. 7.5 minutes remaining as Calhoun gets it a go, plus the foul.
And one all day. Baller's ball, and Calhoun knows when the ball's in her hand, she's going up for the layup, and she's trying to get that and one.
And that was a great move because she was able to see that the defender was not squaring her shoulders and was able to blow by and get the foul.
Calhoun, after knocking it down, will now go to the free throw line to attempt the three-point play, 61-52. Knocked down the free throw, now a 10-point lead for the Raiders as Brianna Calhoun now has 26 points for herself.
A double-digit advantage now, something we haven't seen very much tonight.
Glendale needs to make sure they do not run away from the style of play they've had in the previous 3 quarters. Going up for the three-pointer, and it does not fall as Glendale's going to be called for a foul.
That looked pretty good off the hand, right on line, just maybe a little strong.
Yeah, just a little bit too much on it.
Actually, correction, no foul on the play as now the Raiders have it.
One thing I would try and go back to is get Carrasco the ball in the corner.
Watch the switch.
Emily Herring able to find Carrasco. Carrasco with the contested three, no good.
And if you're Glendale, this is the time you need to make that run. 6.5 and ticking away here. Good fake. Great fake inside the lane. Wow.
Justin, just by your voice cracking there, I could feel the
Oh.
excitement.
That was
Zoe
vicious.
Ruth, that was an incredible Euro
Oh.
step. She used a little hesitation move, cut back towards the middle, drove in, and I mean, that was seamless. She went boom,
Oh,
boom,
little
and
bit
was
of
able to
hard-
That
lay
was
it in.
vicious.
Little James Harden in there.
Hurt my heart right there. Oh,
Well, bounce, answer right back. Moorpark staying focused.
good answer.
This is when pressure starts to build for Glendale. Your whole season starts and can end right now. How bad do you want that next round of playoffs?
Now driving in, oh, nice spin move again, wow. There's some nice moves we're seeing out here. They're bringing out all the stops as number 5, Sylvia Badazarian, was able to get a little spin move against Rangel and get her 12th point of the contest.
I thought about making another saying, but I think I'm just going to refrain. Refrain from that and move on. A great stop right there.
Glendale staying right on top of it. Getting in Moorpark's face, not letting them get away with this easy victory. Playing great defense tonight.
Moorpark needs to stay solid. Good runner. Good runner.
Emily Herring with that runner, she gets her 11th point of the evening, a 66-56 10-point advantage here for the Raiders over the Vaqueros, number 1 seeded team against the number 9 seeded team at home for Moorpark. As Carrasco notices that True can only dribble with her right hand, it seemed like.
Almost looked like she dribbled it off her foot, had to regain control.
No good on the layup attempt by Vardazarian as she is fouled. It seems like she's in pain, however, as they're filling her calf area as well.
That's Sylvia, one of the other stars on this team, and her teammates kind of knew right away, let's stretch this thing out. Might be a cramp.
It is a little surprising to be able to see so many cramps because cramps can be avoided by just some conditioning before the game, making sure that your body's warm, having enough water, having enough nutrition throughout the day. That could prevent cramps like that, but for some reason right now we've seen back-to-back for that for Glendale. Hopefully they'll be able to come out and be nice and rested because they do have a pretty decent side bench compared to Moorpark.
Well, and we talked about the speed of this game, which could be also a factor. The fact that they've been running around, less attrition means they haven't been able to get enough fluids in their system, less timeouts to do that as well, which could create cramping.
And as an athlete, you got to think about your hydrating and whatnot. That really goes into effect 48 hours before the game. And a lot of times I think the players, they don't really think about that, take that into account until the end of the fourth quarter. You get late into a game and you start cramping up all over your body because you didn't prepare 2 days prior.
Exactly. Hydration is key for an athlete as Vardazarian misses the first free throw attempt. Still a 10-point advantage for the Raiders with 4:41 remaining in the game. As you might be able to hear on our mics, we are right here in the action as the section behind us with the Moorpark Raiders are showing some big noise as they're trying to root their team on to victory.
Well, and actually the free throws have piled up for Glendale tonight. They haven't been able to knock them down.
Jazzy Carrasco made a great cut. Backdoor, got the easy layup. That is some bread and butter stuff that Moorpark's been running this whole season.
Moorpark is starting to pull away a little bit late. Let's see if Glendale can make a couple of shots here, get right back in this.
They're going to need some threes. They're going to need them quick.
It seems like they're trying to get Bardazarian a little bit out of her rhythm as they were able to find a wide open Jankulovsky for the layup.
Good timeout right there. Able to get set for your next defensive possession.
Glendale is not out of this. They're only down by 10 minutes. There is 10 points, pardon me, with 4 minutes to go. The game's not over.
And one thing that you saw in that last play, these are things that could be avoided for the Moorpark defense. There was a player that went unaided, that was Jankulovsky, unaided, straight through the paint, was wide open down low, and there were a few defenders right around her, such as Brianna Calhoun, right around her. What you need to do is you need to have your head on a swivel. You need to know where all the players are. If you're playing back on the baseline, you need to know where those corner players are. If you can't find the corner players, find them because they're going to be right under the rim. So that's one thing that could just be easily avoided if they're just having their head on a swivel, making sure they have their peripheral vision, and making sure they know where the basket is, where that offensive player is.
Well, and they don't have to start making threes quite yet. They have enough time to make a run where they play solid defense and look for the best shot possible without forcing it.
Exactly, that is the good point. They could shoot 2 after 2 after 2, just getting some quick, easy shots, making sure they're effective in good wide open looks though.
And if you're Moorpark, look to salt away the clock a little bit. Take your time.
And you just mentioned it seems like they are running out the time a little bit. Only 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Don't pull that shot till you absolutely have to. Take as much time off as you need.
And Jazzy Crosco has it 1 second remaining on the shot clock. She's fouled, bailed out slightly, knocking down the layup and the foul.
That was solid, but I would not wait till that late in the shot clock to start moving the ball and trying to get into a possession next time around.
That was potentially the biggest and one of the game tonight as Moorpark now goes up by 12 points with just 3.5 left in the game.
It seemed like, yeah, they should have moved it a little bit quicker because Calhoun was stuck in a bad situation where she couldn't put up a shot. And if Crosco missed that, that might even been a shot clock violation if she was able to get it up right before, because the foul occurred right before the shot, which was right before the shot clock went off.
If you're Glendale defensively, you'd want to start pressuring now.
Crosco was able to knock down the free throw, though, to complete the three-point play. 71-58. 13-point lead with 3:20 remaining in the game. Jankulovsky no good on the jump shot. That's going to be a foul on the ground against the Raiders. Glendale ball on the baseline.
Well, and if you're Moorpark, you don't want to start giving Glendale extra possessions with cheap fouls or turnovers.
Second team foul on the Raiders.
Nowhere near the bonus, so nothing
yes,
to
right
worry
now,
about on that
3
end.
team fouls for Vaqueros. They need 2 more to be able to get in the bonus for Moorpark to shoot free throws. As a wide open layup, great move there by Tess Oakley-Stilson, knocking down another 2. Right now she has 20 points in the game. As we have a timeout.
She's carried a third of her team to this far.
So far this season, Tess Oakley-Stilson is averaging 7.7 points per game, which gives her the 3rd place spot on her team in points per game average, but 7.7 to getting 20 points in the biggest game of the season for this team. Incredible play we're seeing out of Tess Oakley-Stilson.
Heck of a coming out party in this game. It's a great way to showcase yourself in a playoff scenario.
And she's been that main player for Glendale, that main player for the Raiders, who hasn't had too much of an impact in the last few minutes, but Brianna Calhoun, 26 points in the game, leading scorer, just a fantastic overall player and playing great tonight. And she knows exactly what she's doing out there. She may have to put up a few more shots, though, if Glendale's able to get a run going.
Well, you know what, Ryan? I disagree with you. I think she has had an impact in the last few minutes as well. Maybe just not scoring. But remember, even when she doesn't have the ball in her hands, she's still out there coordinating the entire offense, setting screens potentially, getting open, getting a rebound. So even when the ball's not in her hands, she sometimes is even more of a threat.
Look to really start moving the ball under 10 seconds in the shot clock.
And they just hit that 9-second mark as they had a double screen. Calhoun gets in the lane and gets it a go.
Oh, what moves Calhoun can create. There were 3 bodies on her, and she was still able to get the shot off.
Sometimes you just got to shake your head because that was not bad defense. It could have been more tighter defense, but sometimes you just got to shake your head and hand your hat over to the better offensive player on that possession as the ball goes off of Rangel.
I still like the effort from Glendale here. They are still hustling for every board.
Number 5, Silvio Vartazarian, is now back in the game.
And they've worked so hard to get here. There's no way that they're just going to quit on it now. You know, there's still a chance they're going to fight. They're going to do whatever they can to try and come away with at least end this game in overtime, but they're going to need threes.
A dangerous pass, though, to get it in as they almost turned the ball over. 2:15 remaining in the game.
And they need them quickly. They can't take too much time off the shot clock right now.
Dankolowski was messing around a little too much and got it stolen by Carrasco. As you mentioned, they need to do it quickly, and they weren't doing it in that possession.
And here they go again. Take the time. I would almost, if you're Glendale, gamble. Start fouling, try and get steals, anything to slow this game down.
Jolowski was limping a little bit on that last play as well, so that cramp looks like it's starting to come back to her leg.
Calhoun no good, but Rangel answers. 75-60, a 15-point lead here for the Raiders, and it seems like they are pulling away right now.
And this crowd is very pleased with Moorpark's effort in the last 3 minutes or so to really pull away.
And that separates good teams from great teams. When the pressure's on, Moorpark was able to execute and pull away. Now the game's not over yet, but Glendale's going to need
a lot of help.
A miracle to pull this one off.
A lot of help.
Usually when they talk about some March Madness or March basketball, the big upsets and the great games, they're talking about the higher level of Division I. But right now we're seeing a great one right here where the lower seeded team was given the number 1 seed team a big fight throughout this whole game. But it seems like as you get further on in the tournament on the Division I level in the March Madness bracket, just as we're seeing right here, that number 1 team usually will show you why they're the number 1 team, and it seems like Moorpark is doing that in the last few minutes.
Well, and this is actually a very good test for this Moorpark team because it keeps them with a great perspective heading into the state. They don't feel like they're blowing a team out and they may be too confident. And they also don't feel like they are not playing to their highest level, but are playing well enough to beat teams as well.
It humbles them.
Yes.
To sum it up what you're saying,
yes.
It humbles them. Yes. And
sometimes 3 words is the best concise way to do it.
Exactly. And I think more than anything, too, it's eye-opening to see that, yes, they are still a great team, but some of these 9-seeded teams can give them a run for their money. And if they're able to make it to state after tonight, the teams are only going to get more difficult.
Well, and a 9 seed with over 20 wins. So, you know, this is no slouch either.
Exactly.
Driving into the hole, going up for the layup, gets it to go. That's Melissa Sandoval, her first 2 points of the evening. Haven't seen her out here too much tonight, at least on the scoring department as Herring has it. We're already hearing the We Are MC chants from Moorpark College. They brought it out when they secured the Western State Conference Northern Division title at Ventura College, and has been bringing it out in every game since, as they did against Cerritos, and they're doing it right now.
I'm surprised they're not fouling right now. I'm surprised they haven't started fouling already.
Now, do you just go for the foul at this point, gentlemen? I know they're down by 13, but they're running out the clock either way.
Well, Brianna Calhoun going up for the layup. If you're going for the foul, don't do it when they're shooting the ball because they're just going to go for it easy too. If they did a foul previously, they would have only saw 3, which would have bumped them up to 4, and that would force Moorpark to take the ball out of bounds. But now, if they foul, it's going to be 2 shots for the rest of the game.
Well, and at this point, it's formality. You got a 13-point advantage with about 53 seconds remaining. It seems to me like Moorpark has passed this test to move on to state.
Yeah, Glendale, if you want to be able to stay in it, you have to foul, you have to take some threes. You got to be able to get some quick shots, however, on the 3-point attempts as Calhoun gets 30.
And
30
try to get
points
steals. Try to get steals as well.
They need to be able to hurry it up right now if they want anything to happen. Only 45 seconds left, and they are not showing some urgency.
At this point, just start jacking some up. I mean, it's better than nothing. When you waste this much time, there's really no point to it.
They're trying to find open lanes, and you don't have time to be doing it. At this point, you just got to catch and shoot.
Yeah, that's it. And try to get fouled and try to lean in. And
Tess Oakley-Stilson, number 14, the leading scorer for Glendale, was able to knock down that last layup. She has 22 points so far in this game, and She has just been incredible, but right now it seems like Moorpark, they just ran away with this. Too much star power. Brianna Calhoun had 30 points in this game after those last 2 free throws. Has just been playing incredibly out there and being able to facilitate like none other out on the court.
Well, and good for Tess. I mean, she really showcased her abilities today quite well, kept her team in it for the majority of this game, and made it quite interesting. Like you said, just too much star power, too many weapons on Moorpark's roster.
And that's what's difficult sometimes. If we looked at the third quarter alone, Glendale executed. They dominated. They outscored Moorpark 11 points to 7. But it's hard to maintain that constant pressure and success throughout a whole half, especially in the second half of a game when everyone's tired. We saw some cramps coming up as well.
As you mentioned, so much star power. Number 33, Kristen Sullivan, hasn't even scored tonight, and she's averaging 7.6 points per game with shooting 40.5% from the three-point line, making 2 3-pointers a game. So even without one of their weapons really being used tonight, they still have so much more in their depth, even with the 8 players.
And to add on to that, because they have so much depth, we saw them shut down Rangel, but then you still have Calhoun, you have Carrasco as well. So it's hard to dominate when there's so many star players on the opposing team.
Well, and I also believe that Glendale didn't capitalize quite enough when Barbara was out of the game, because the less size, it means they were able to have an advantage and try to get some jumpers off.
With that being said, they did go for a quick foul as Jasmine Carrasco is now at the line. She has 17 points in the game. As now coming back in, Jankulovsky as well as number 5, Sylvia Bardazarian, 2 leading scorers for Glendale. Probably their last action they're going to be seeing this season.
Outside of Brianna, it's actually, and coach should be pretty pleased with the way this turned out, it's a very balanced scoring line the rest of the way. 17, 12, 11, and 8 respectively. So,
and for some of these women here, you know, they're sophomores. This is the last time some of them will ever play at the collegiate level, and you know, for the last time they'll ever be in an organized sport again. So it's kind of surreal when it all hits them. You might see emotions fly for both teams. You will definitely see for the winning team, but go ahead.
Brianna Calhoun was able to force that turnover, 78-64 the lead right now, 14 points for the Moorpark Raiders, only 26 seconds remaining. It seems like it's all over right now, as usually what happens, coach likes to dribble out the ball, but they are going to foul it. Jankulovsky trying to keep her Glendale season alive.
Shot clock is off, so at this point it's about running out the clock if you're the Raiders. Really, I don't see any ability, unless there's a true miracle, Tracy McGrady kind of moment where it's 9 in
13 in a minute.
13 in a minute, which was unbelievable in its own right, but
exactly, and take a minute with a 14-point lead and trim to 24 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, Moorpark going to be able to get this victory. Going on to the final 8 teams as they're going to move on to the state championship tournament, which is held next weekend. The 15th are the quarterfinals, 16th are the semifinals, and 17th are going to be the championship game, as Glendale is going to be able to get this last shot off. No good, as Jankulovsky is able to get the putback.
We've seen a lot of those today, a lot of those maybe not necessarily gimmies, but those shots that just didn't have the touch to get in the rim. And if you're Moorpark, you celebrate this victory. It is one of the biggest, not only of the season, but in the history of the college. And you don't rest on your laurels, however, and you refocus for next week.
Yeah, with that being said, right before the final buzzer sounds, we're going to have some more free throws, as head coach Kenny Plummer definitely knows that he's taking his team to the state championship tournament next week. It's going to be held at Ventura College. If you remember, the last time Moorpark was at Ventura College, they were able to beat VC by 33 points, so that's 72-39, and they were able to win that for the Western State Conference Northern Division title, which was their first outright title since 1990. So they're going to be going back there to try to complete this miracle season.
And well done there by Coach Weiss, getting his starters an applauding moment. Heck of a season, these sophomores that may, and we ourselves should and give a clap. A heck of a season for them. The sophomores that may or may not be transferring to other schools in the near future, they deserve their moment to shine as well.
Hats off to Glendale for a performance tonight.
And they gave Moorpark a run for their money, so that's going to be the final score. 79-66, the Moorpark Raiders will be advancing to the state championship tournament next week to be able to play the final 8 teams in California. Northern California will be sending their own 4, as well as we have a ladder out here getting ready to be able to tear down the net. What are your final thoughts of this game, fellas?
I'll go first. I just want to say right off the bat, Glendale came out and they definitely gave Moorpark a run for their money. They were on it in the third quarter alone. We talked about they executed, they outplayed Moorpark, but they weren't able to keep it up. Moorpark, on the other hand, stayed consistent, dominant the entire way through. When shots weren't falling, they were able to rally up, came out together. Brianna Rangel, Calhoun, Carrasco, they all had a great game tonight, and ultimately, hats off to the girls for the Raiders.
Great effort from both squads. Both coaches have to be very pleased. If you're Coach Plummer, you have to be very pleased with the adjustments you made at halftime in order to get Barber the ball, but also kick it out for some open jumpers. If you are Glendale, the effort on rebounding, out-rebounding Rangel for the majority of the game, double teaming, able to make sure she couldn't get any shots in the post. That was a big deal, and some extra scoring from unsung hero Tess Oakley-Stilson tonight, who deserves props for her game. What an epic game it was for her.
As that being said, 79-66 victory for the Moorpark Raiders, sending them off to the state championship tournament. As you see, Remy McCarthy, assistant head coach, is going to cut down the nets. And this is going to be the last time playing at Raider Sports Pavilion this year, heading off to Ventura College next weekend. Make sure that you stay tuned for a post-game show, as we're going to be getting an interview with head coach Kenny Plummer in just a few moments after the ceremony that they're having. But once again, the Moorpark Raiders able to take this victory over the number 9 seed Glendale Community College Vaqueros. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into the Moorpark Raider live stream. We'll be back in a few moments with the post-game show. Thank you.
Again, I'd like to remind everyone, Coach Plummer would like everyone to meet at Jack's Pizza in Moorpark, next to Wood Ranch. You all know where it is. You all know why they're on their way home. I'm surprised Bird needed a ladder. Best pizza in the county.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Raider live stream. Once again, my name is Ryan Ketchum, play-by-play commentator, joined alongside Nick Federico, color commentator, analyst, and the winning head coach from Moorpark College women's basketball, Kenny Plummer. Thank you very much for joining us on our show, first of all.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Definitely, anytime. And this season, I mean, it's just been incredible. You were able to win your first outright Western State Conference Northern Division title since 1990. You had the California Player of the Year. You had the head coach honors. You had the Coach of the Year award. How has this journey just been now going to the state championship tournament next weekend?
Man, it's been unbelievable. To be honest, this was the goal right from the beginning. And it's surreal because it just brings back memories of when I, as a player, went to the state. So 19 years ago, now I just dated myself, as a player, you know, myself and my assistant Remy, who was the head coach, we went to the state tournament with the men's team, and now to take the program as a coach is a very special moment. I'm very excited for the girls. The girls deserve it. They're very hard-working girls. The chemistry is great, and I'm very, very proud of what they have accomplished thus far.
Now, I've talked to you many times, and we actually saw you have a great embracing moment with Sydney Arakawa last year when you guys had your first victory against Ventura College in 60 matchups over 27 years. And then now this year with this group of seniors such as Barbara Rangel, who's going to be moving on to University of Hawaii. You mentioned your trip to state when you were back playing 19 years ago before you went to Montana State University, Bozeman. And how did that kind of prepare you? Because you have one of these girls, and obviously many of the women on your team that are going to be moving on to the next level, or at least should move on to the next level. How did this state tournament, how did this 3C, 2A state tournament help you be able to position yourself to that next level?
You know, from experience, you know, knowing the pieces that we have, making them fit, understanding what it takes to get to that level. You know, the daily preparation, the practice. You know, the day-to-day activities that it takes to get there, and preparing for these girls, not only individually but as a group. And you know, as we you know gained the #1 seed, and you know, our first thing was we have to be the hunters. Just because we're the #1 seed, we can't allow teams to want to beat us badly more than we want to beat them. So we said before this playoff started, we're going to want to, be the hunters. And I think we took that mentality. Glendale was a very gracious opponent. I mean, they didn't go away. As you can see, the game went back and forth. We can never really pull away, and that's big credit to their coach and their team. But our girls weren't going to be denied this trip to the state tournament.
Definitely. You had some star players coming out. Tessa Oakley-Stilson, to name one of the players, number 14 on Glendale's team, actually came out and scored 22 points, only averaged 7.7 points per game. Might have not been a player that everybody was looking to be able to score. So how was it trying to be able to manage that during the game, even though you guys had a tight score at 31 apiece? How was it managing that and be able to come out with this victory?
Well, all year long, as the number one team, and having that target on your back, we know we're going to get everybody's best. Players who've maybe not stepped up in the past or maybe all season, they look forward to playing against the number one team, their level of play they're going to rise to the top. So she played great. We've always said that all our opponents, they're going to give us their best shot. They're not going to go away because not only they're playing against the number one team, but now in the playoffs, you have this winner go home. So it was her time to step up. Credit to, kudos and credits to her. But our girls, we said we've been here before. We know that players are going to step up, and who unlikely step up, and we just got to find a way for 4 quarters to at the end of that buzzer, be on top.
Yep.
Now, Coach, I want to ask you, with the shallow depth, with only having about 8 or 9 players on the roster, how were the girls able to come together as a team? I mean, we see how great they can play with just such a small unit. I think sometimes maybe they're underrated because you see them and then you think, oh, there's only a couple of them. They're going to be gassed. They're not going to be able to get through the first half, let alone get through the full game and dominate like they have. So how's the chemistry grown from the beginning of the season until this point in the year?
Oh, it's grown so much. We've been through a lot of adversity, through injuries, through players leaving the team, from players having to unforeseen circumstances, and the roster just gets lower and lower. But we have a group of resilient young ladies. I think that brought them together even more. And we just believe in each other. We believe in our, in our own individual skills, but as a team. And it really doesn't matter how many. You got to have the right ones out there, and we believe we have the right ones with 3 All-State players, one of the state players of the year, and everybody's accepted their role and they want to play hard. And we're just hungry. We're the hunters. So we know what we're up against, not being deep, but that even tightens the unit even more, knowing that our mistakes have to be at a minimum.
Absolutely.
Now, you've had some great moments at Ventura College, especially in the past 2 seasons. So how excited are you to be able to go back there and compete for that state championship?
I mean, that was great. When we found out that the state tournament is going to be held at Ventura, that even motivated us even more because that's like a home game. Our fans came out, full force when we played at Ventura, and that helped us propel us against that win. And now we're looking for our fans to come out again. And, our girls, a lot of our girls are from the Ventura area, so they look forward to playing in front of their fans. And like you said, we've won 3 times in a row against Ventura there. So we've had some success in that gym. We're looking forward to it. We don't have to drive really far, which helps the depth. We get to sleep in our own beds, which is a big help. And we get to prepare. Short trips, short drives, and we're looking forward to it. It's a very exciting moment for the women Raiders right now.
Absolutely. And how do you take these next couple games coming up? Now it is state. The stakes are much higher than they've ever been. Do you guys, attack the way that you always have all year? Do you stay, I guess, modest about it, or do you come at it even harder this next week in practice? Is there a different routine that you guys do now that you've made it to state? No, the routine doesn't change. The focus and the mentality and preparation goes on to whoever our opponent is going to be. We prepare the same way. We go hard no matter how many numbers we have. We prepare the same way. We make sure that we pay attention to detail. We watch film. We find the areas that we can improve on. And in practice, I think one of the reasons that we're really, really good is because in practice it's very competitive. The girls really go hard against each other, and it shows on the court because our margin of victory has been large throughout the season. But it's because we've been really pushing each other in practice. All our drills are competitive drills, and the girls hate to lose more than like to win. So that's a great asset to have as a group. And that's a great point because actually the only loss that you did have this year was against East LA. Now, I don't know if you know this, Coach, but before that game, you were averaging victory margins by about 28 points a game. After that, you turned on the Jets to 42 points a game. So it definitely shows that the players just had a fire inside of them when they lost. So How do you think they take that energy, especially after coming off a win, and humble themselves and take it to the next level against whoever they play? What do they have to do?
I just think they need to stay focused. They know, our goal is the prize, the state championship. So I believe these girls are not only mature enough, but like I said, they're very, very hungry to get to where we need to be. And I think they know that it's in our grasp, it's in our backyard, and they're very determined to get there, and they're not going to take their foot off the gas. They're already, asking, who we're playing, and right away before we came and cut down the nets, they're like, who we're playing, so it's like this the hunting mentality, which is great. And like I said, these girls are ready to go and ready to put on a show and represent Moorpark in that state tournament.
Absolutely.
Well, big congratulations, Coach. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Very much.
Once again, that's the winning head coach, Moorpark College women's basketball, Kenny Plummer. They're going to be moving on to the state championship tournament. Quarterfinals will be on March 15th. And that whole weekend, if they're able to continue on, March 16th semifinals, and March 17th will be the championship game held at Ventura College. But thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in to the Moorpark Raider live stream. Once again, my name is Ryan Ketchum, play-by-play commentator, Nick Federico, color commentator analyst, Justin Borsis with us, along with head coach Kenny Plummer. Thank you very much to everybody that helps us out with the production, from all of our cameramen and women to our technical director. But once again, for everybody on our team, my name is Ryan Ketchum, wishing you a good evening, and make sure that you stay tuned with us for more coverage of Moorpark College athletics. Thank you.